Welcome, Tania Fierro, from the founder of the Innerland Institute. Today, our fourth interview of the series of four interviews. And my name is Marcus Tauchmann, the founder of the Innerland Institute in Europe. And I do since 12 years coachings daily and a lot of trainings and retreats and educational programs for businesses and also for public people. And I'm so happy that I have you here today because you have 35 years experience of innerland coaching, of coaching and classes in inquiry. And it is such a great pleasure to have you here from your experience with the clients and with inquiry. So long experience and even longer experience with the Dzogchen and the philosophy experience. I'm very happy that you are here today in our fourth interview series.
Yes, thank you, Marcus, for doing this beautiful project. And we hope that this reaches out and inspires and helps people out there.
Yes,
Thank
this
you
is
for
why we do
having
it.
me.
Yes. And today in this episode, I would love to talk about pain and the architecture of pain, how the pain is creating in the body and how our mind reacts to it. And I think everybody has experienced pain or experienced pain, body pain, physical pain, and also mental pain and also trauma. So how, let's talk this series about pain. How is it created? Is it created in the moment when we believe, or how is pain created in the mind, and how can we heal this pain?
Yeah, this is such a fascinating question. I think we can answer it um, on many levels, and it would take a long time. But I think if I want to be like on a basic level, I think that pain has a part that is inherited in our DNA, like
Mhm.
the way that our ancestors deal with pain. And I think that we have scientifically um, investigated that as a humanity with the epigenetics. So
Mhm.
the famous rat mice
Mhm.
experiment where they put the mice with cherry blossom and a little shock.
Mhm.
And so they related seeing a cherry blossom and getting an electroshock, and then they removed giving them the little electroshock, and they would just see cherry blossoms and they would react like they would have an electroshock even though they weren't receiving it. And then they reported that they would see this in their children and grandchildren up to 4 to 7 generations, the same response to the cherry blossom. So so we
Trauma
can
is.
say so we can say that there is a level where we inherit certain reactions through our DNA
Mhm.
uh, because of past experiences. We also see these in humans that have experienced war, and their children and grandchildren still dream
Mhm.
of war or have traumatic responses, even though they've never experienced war.
In violence.
Yes, so that is one level of how pain is created through an original traumatic experience that can be then um, passed on. Not
Mhm.
necessarily, but it can.
Mhm.
Then there is the pain that we learn culturally, like we learn through our society growing up what is accepted and not accepted. So we all have this beautiful heart and innocent longing to belong.
Mhm.
And we very young, in a very young age, understand that to belong, most of us are given conditional rules. Like, you need to behave this way in order to belong. You need to do this in order to belong. So because we long to belong, which is a very human need, we long to attach, we long to connect, we understand what those needs are, and pain comes when people remove us or threaten a human being with not belonging. So any idea or any conditional circumstance that would have us believe that we will not receive love, attachment, or connection scares us very much.
In the early childhood, it is happening when I'm 2-year-old, 3-year-old. So, and everybody has, most of us have experienced this.
Yes, we experience that from our mothers. When our mothers get angry, we don't know if this will mean that she won't love us. When our parents get angry, when the teacher gets angry, when our friends, all of these threaten our sense of safety. So whenever we are afraid of not belonging or losing safety or being isolated,
rejected
in some way, this creates tremendous amount of pain. And this is emotional pain, psychological pain, and also a physical pain.
And when somebody, for example, is yelling at me, or is I said, I love you, and she's rejection and goes away, or somebody is yelling at me and say, you are stupid, you are not, you yeah. And in this moment, how is this pain? How is this in your experience of with so many clients? When we can go step by step in our nervous system, and we have the receptives in our eyes, we see, we hear, we see the faces, and in this receptive, and we hear the voice, in these receptors, in internal receptors, how is, in your experience, is the pain created in our mind?
Well, it's created, I don't know, I cannot tell you like neurologically step by step, because I'm not
in your experience,
I'm not a scientist, but what I can say is when our attachment was threatened. Our attachment was threatened. So any sense of feeling that our attachment to our mother, to our father, to our community is threatened, the body and the mind will perceive it as our survival. It's like our survival will also be threatened. So what this happens is, and then when we start to work with ourselves, and this is a very important distinction that we make in the courses we give at Innerland, it's to distinguish between externally referencing our lives and internally referencing. Because why do we get more triggered by certain actions of certain people and not by certain actions of certain people? So it's not that everybody triggers us the same way. It's the people that we have given value and energy as the validators of our safety. So when I give you, Marcus, and your facial expressions all the authority, external authority for my safety and my well-being, then your facial expressions, your actions will be the ones that tell me if I can be happy, sad, scared, or at peace. Because I've given you externally reference. And we do this with our jobs, with our bosses, with friends, with our partners, with our children. When I give people the authority for my internal well-being, the result is exhaustion depression, a lot of insecurity, a lot of lack of confidence, a lot of, it can be lead to addiction,
And that,
and ultimately pain, suffering. So
and
also
I
we want
try
to distinguish.
to manipulate myself to manipulate the other, to get it, to get safety. So I manipulate myself and I manipulate the other to get the safety, to get the love. And
Yes, but
then, yeah,
exactly. But
and
even if I do everything right
yes,
to please you, so I feel safe, I will end up exhausted. And
yeah.
this is the reason why we can see so much burnout. Burnout in companies, with employees,
Yes.
burnout with people, because everybody's trying to do the best they can to do the right thing, to be validated and to be seen. So what we want to focus when we start to do the work at Innerland is to change the focus to become internally referenced.
And isn't it important also to have the external reference?
It is important to function, but it's not, but we cannot give it the authority for our overall well-being.
Yeah.
So if somebody's hearing this and they're asking and they want to think about, it's just think about a relationship or a situation where you are exhausted,
Yes.
and think how much energy does this person have of your life? How much rental space do they occupy in your mind?
And in my mind, the most occupation I have when I'm with others is when I love them. I love my wife. And in the moment when I say this word, I love you, my reference is there.
Yes.
So it is a praying sentence, isn't it?
Yes. No, and it is, and it's also, where is the love coming from?
Yes.
The source of love is not
Yes.
her. It's you giving her
Yes.
that energy. So when we become internally referenced, we understand that this energy that gives authority to different people or situation, it's actually the source is us. And in the same way we can give it, we can remove it and bring it back. And it doesn't mean that we reject people.
No.
It doesn't mean that you reject your wife. It doesn't mean that you reject your boss or your employer, your friend. It means that you do not give them the authority of your well-being. So when we become internally referenced, we start to heal the parts of us that are scared of not belonging. We start to heal the parts of us that are scared of not getting validation. And we start to recognize that it is way more important to be aligned with myself and to not betray myself and to have my own approval and to fall in love with me. And that will actually create a sense of confidence, of peace, of well-being. And paradoxically, it allows me to show up more fully with other people, because the power, the sun is internal. And I have a relationship with my sun, with my light, like we've been talking about. And when I have an intimate relationship with my light, I trust myself. I trust my loving. I trust my intuition. I trust my body. And when I am in intimate connection and relationship with that first, I always feel whole. And what I've come to see is that it's very difficult to feel lonely or very difficult to feel rejected when I have this relationship with myself. People are free to come, are free to go, are free to like things, are free to not like things, are free to love me, are free to not love me. And I am in relationship with that in a flowing, organic way. But I am no longer in fight or flight or feeling that my survival depends on this action, these people or these reactions. My survival depends on the relationship I have with myself.
And does this work also with people who have injury or traumatized
Yes,
experience?
definitely. What we do at Innerland is we combine IBC and we combine IFS, because there is not one single person from this perspective of IFS or IBC that is, as a person, traumatized. They have traumatized parts.
This is important.
When they were little or when they were grown up or a teenager. They're traumatized parts, but they are not their trauma. And they are not traumatized people.
Yeah.
They are people with traumatized parts, and these parts can definitely be healed. 100%.
Yeah. And how is this happening? This healing of this part?
Well, the basics of the healing are two parts. One is to rest and recognize our zero space, that light within that we have talked about.
Yes.
There has not been one single client where I guide them through a zero space meditation that does not feel it.
It's so easy to feel for everybody.
For everybody. If you guide them through the meditation of feeling that light, feeling that zero space, everybody recognizes it. And the point is to recognize it and to create an expansion of it, to really rest in it. And then once you recognize that, you call in what are the parts of you that need your healing and attention. And it's in the relationship with this light and the witnessing of compassion and connection and curiosity with the part that the part feels safe, attached, but not to a person, to self, to our zero space. And then slowly it trusts this energy. And through the trust of this energy, it releases the pain. And through the release of pain comes an updating of this energy, and it can reintegrate itself to the whole being with qualities that support the system. So the healing happens with a recognition of zero space, resting in it, trusting it, and then in relation to the parts that have pain and trauma, then this dialogue, I mean, I'm making it very basic there, you know. There's this whole process of how to relate to the parts, a whole very intricate, beautiful of how to relate to the part. And the result of this relationship, that is a loving, kind, gentle, trusting relationship, is the liberation of the trauma.
And then this part recognizes his original task.
Exactly.
And this task is then this part is going to use it and do it unconsciously in the system.
Yes.
So it works 24 hours a day.
Yes. And
for
and it
us.
can reintegrate to its original state. And we also can heal trauma, like I said before, that are legacy parts. We have also trauma that it's not ours, it's from our mother, our father, our community. We can also heal this. And it's beautiful.
And also from the ancestors and from the whole thousands of years of pain, of inquisition,
Yes.
and all these old war
Yeah.
stories.
Hmm.
And what I want to mention, it is not as, yeah, it is for myself, it's very important to distinguish that how zero space is, that is, you called it often like a touch tree.
Yes.
Internal tree who is rooted, and it is very slowly and patient and present. It
Yeah.
is not overriding the
No.
part. And in my experience, often my mind wants to heal, wants to do something, or this is not zero space energy. The zero space energy, and can you explain a little bit about this, how this zero space energy is?
Yeah.
And then because it is, and we have the observer and the manager who tries to manage the parts and makes
Yeah.
it worse. So everybody, all these spectators who listen to this will experience, know this, that we have control.
Yes.
Control
It's the best way for me to understand zero space is with those images. It's like a beautiful oak tree. It's like internally that is connected and rooted to the earth and to the heavens, or to see it as the sun. So it just there a tree is just there, present, strong, holding. The sun is just there. It doesn't have an agenda. It does not pushing. It doesn't want to fix. It doesn't want, it's only being. So when we remember the being in ourselves, when we remember the sun that lives within, if we see ourselves like a tree, like a beautiful tree with the branches open, rooted, strong, wide trunk, we can always anchor ourselves in that light, in the divine, in the love. So if we notice, for example, all philosophies and all religions are always inviting us to take refuge. I love this word, to take refuge in the light that we are.
This is our home. This is a refuge.
We take refuge in the practices that bring us home. Meditation, IFS, IBC, inquiry. Maybe it could be static dance. We take refuge in the methods that help us expand our zero space, our light. And we take refuge in the community, in the Sangha, in the community of people that support us coming home to our light. So zero space, yes, there are parts that are managers and fixers, but the zero space does not have an agenda.
This is extremely important.
It does not have an agenda. It's there, like the sun, and we can be in the shade, we can be directly in the sun, we can be in the house. The sun is the sun.
Yeah.
It will just be there. And we relate to the sun in whatever way we need. Sometimes we need more sun, sometimes we need less sun, sometimes we need to put a hat, sometimes we need to put shade, sometimes we want to be in the water with the sun. Sometimes we want to be in the shade with the sun. The sun is the sun. And the parts relate to the sun in
So
different ways.
so it is, we go in the center and be the sun. And
Yes.
then how is the healing working, that the part is realizing or getting trust, you said. Then
Well, we don't be the sun. We remember the sun, because the sun never leaves us.
uh-huh.
So we rest in it. We consciously connect to it.
Yeah.
And then from this connection, what naturally, organically moves is to serve.
Mm.
And the first things that we need to serve are the parts in our experience that are scared. Remember, we talked about fear?
Yes.
All the parts that we need to serve first
Yes.
are the ones that are scared
Yes.
about anything. And it's in the relationship with the sun that the parts remember that they were originally light as well.
As well.
And then they can function in our system as light.
Yeah.
Instead of scared of not belonging. But if the relationship with the sun internally, with our zero space, is not there,
Yes.
the parts get very scared and re-traumatized, and pain keeps repeating as patterns.
Mm-hmm.
The more we rest in that, and there's a loving relationship with the parts, the more we trust. Remember, we talked about this in the first episode, no? That
Yes.
what is the essence of me doing philosophy or doing this work? It's very simple. It's moving from fear and control to trust and joy. It's moving from fear to love. You know, fear braces itself, controls, manipulates, fixes, manages. Love trusts.
Mm-hmm.
And the trust is in the internal light.
Yeah.
Not in you being my friend or not being my friend. The trust is in my internal.
And this is good news.
Yes, because then I am always whole. And then if I relate to you or go to Switzerland or stay in Canada, you know, then it's all okay. People are free to come and free to go. Because I realize that I always belong.
Wow.
No one can take away my belonging. Because I am now internally referenced in my touch tree.
Yes. And this is the most important step, my touch tree, to get to zero, to and as to close this interview series, I see now we started all the 4 interviews with this triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Be touch free with myself, and then in community, and then the world.
Mm-hmm.
And with pain. And now it is a great, it's like that we coming to the start again, because this is how Inner Land serves.
Mm-hmm.
This is where because from zero it is naturally serving, and
Yes.
first serving our parts, and then serving the community, and then the world. So it is. And how do you see this in combination to the logo of Inner Land?
Yes, that's the Triskel, right? That's the 3 spirals. The 3 spirals are always that interconnected relationship with myself, with the world, and with my community. And it's about the more, so at Innerland, I founded Innerland so people could remember their light. This is a place for people to remember, to come together to remember and then thrive.
Yes.
To remember and thrive. And the way we remember is with the community, with the methodologies, and with the connection to our zero space. That's why the 3 spirals. The 3 spirals are also that. The 3 spirals are the connection to my community, the connection to the methodologies that we bring, and the connection to my zero space.
Oh. So, and there, yeah, well, and there's the first connection to my zero space, and out of this, not out of the mind, I want this, and then connection to the community, and through the method also the connection to the world.
Yes, and they're all interdependent. They all bring me back to me, and
Yeah.
I bring them back to them, and then we have a beautiful life.
Yes, and we are always interconnected. So when I heal my own parts, it is a serve to people I am with or around with, I live,
Yeah.
also to the world.
Yes,
So
that is why when we come together in circles, like we will do in a few weeks, when we come together in circle, it creates a potent vortex, a potent spiral, because nothing can be more sacred. Sacred is the word. Than people that intentionally come together to expand zero space.
Wow. Isn't that an amazing final speech? Is there anything left, Tania, what you want to share, what you want to really, in one sentence, what you want to give to everybody, to the whole world, in one sentence, what you...
Well, that is my desire, that they find that as the most sacred action that they can do for themselves, to remember that light, to remember their zero space, and to bring that they support each other in communities and circles that can expand that, so that they, from that, they can live a beautiful, aligned, exciting life.
Wow. Thank you so much, Tania Fierro. And you are also
Thank
visible. Yeah, thank you on the www.innerland.com and also on the taniafierro.com. This is a new website, taniafierro.com.
TaniaFierro.com, Innerland.com. We have Instagram page at Innerland. We have an Instagram page at Tania Fierro. We have also Pedro's website, Dr. Pedro Cortina. These are all different resources where people can get inspired.
Yes, and it's Dr. Cortina. I just checked it. It's Dr. Cortina. He shortened it, I think.
Ah, Dr. Cortina. Yes.
Dr.
There you go. You know better than me. Perfect.
Thank you very much that you took your
time.
Marcus.
Thank you, and we welcome you at Innerland anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.